Let me say something that might shock you. Your silence hurts women more than your words ever could. You think staying quiet is just you, keeping your peace, or maybe even protecting yourself. But from a woman's perspective, silence feels louder than anything you could say. It makes us spiral. It makes us chase. It makes us question ourselves in ways you don't even realize. Men underestimate the impact of silence. You think it's neutral. That saying nothing means you're not escalating the situation. But here's the truth. When a man pulls back and stops giving a woman his energy, she feels it deep. And depending on how she feels about you, that silence either makes her crave your attention more, or it completely exposes her lack of care for you. Either way, it shifts the power. See, women are wired to read into everything. If you send a short text, we analyze it. If you don't reply, we feel it. If you suddenly go quiet after giving us attention, our minds race. And here's the kicker. Silence forces us to reveal how much we actually value you. That's why it's one of the most powerful tools you have, even if you don't realize it. The problem is, most men don't use silence the right way. Some go quiet out of fear, others out of weakness, and some because they don't know what else to do. But when you understand how silence affects a woman's psychology, you stop being reactive and start being intentional. Today on Dark Facts 2.0. I'm going to break it down for you from a woman's perspective. I'll tell you exactly what happens when you go silent, how we actually feel, and why it's often more effective than anything you could say. 1. Why silence hits. Why silence hits. Women harder than words. Women harder than words. You probably don't realize this, but silence cuts deeper than arguments, explanations, or even rejection. A woman can handle a man telling her he's upset. She can handle you expressing your boundaries, your feelings, even your anger. Words at least give her something to respond to, but silence, that's different. Silence leaves her with no script, no control, and no way to soothe her ego, and that's why it hits us harder. Think about it. Most women are used to men chasing. We're used to men explaining themselves, apologizing, trying to get back into our good graces. We know the pattern. A man says too much. We pull away. He comes running. It's predictable. But when you step out of that pattern and choose silence, it throws us off balance. Here's how it feels on our side. Imagine you're texting a woman and she goes from responsive and warm to completely quiet. Even if you try to play it cool, your mind starts racing, right? You wonder what you did, if she's losing interest, if she's talking to someone else, that uncertainty eats at you. That's exactly what happens when you go silent on a woman, except it's amplified because women are wired to overthink and dissect every little shift. And here's the part most men don't get. Silence makes us confront our true feelings about you. If you're just another guy, we might brush it off. But if you matter to us, that silence makes us restless. It makes us replay everything we said. Everything. You did every detail of the last interaction. It forces us to look inward and ask, did I lose him? Did I do something wrong? Does he not care anymore? That's why silence is powerful. It doesn't just create distance. It creates tension. And tension is what keeps attraction alive. Let me give it to you straight. Women talk a lot about wanting communication, but the truth is communication is only valuable when it comes from a place of strength. A man who uses silence wisely doesn't need to explain every move he makes. He lets the absence of his words do the work. That's when a woman feels his presence the most, when it's suddenly gone. So never underestimate the weight of silence. Words may tell us where you stand, but silence forces us to reveal where we stand with you. 2. The psychology. The psychology behind her reaction to your silence, behind her reaction to your silence. When a man goes silent, a woman's mind doesn't just notice it, it reacts to it, and not in a calm, logical way. It stirs emotions that can be confusing, frustrating, and even obsessive. That's because silence plays directly into how women are wired psychologically. At the core, women crave emotional certainty. We want to know where we stand with you, how you feel, and what your attention means. Even women who claim they're independent or unbothered still want reassurance that they hold space in your world. When you go silent, you take that away. Suddenly, her sense of security shifts. She no longer knows if she still matters to you. And that uncertainty triggers one of the most powerful motivators, the fear of loss. See, silence forces us into the unknown. And women hate the unknown in relationships. We can handle conflict better than we can handle being ignored. Because conflict still gives us information. It still gives us a chance to push, pull, or influence you. But silence, that leaves us powerless. There's nothing to grab onto. No direction. No way to control the outcome. And that lack of control, it drives us crazy. Psychologically, silence also plays into a woman's ego. Women want to feel desired. Attention from a man, especially one we value, validates us. When that attention disappears, it feels like rejection. It's not just that you're not talking to us. It's that you're withholding something we believe we're entitled to. Your time, your interest, your energy. That sting makes us question ourselves. And women don't like questioning themselves. Now here's the key. Silence doesn't always make her chase you, but it always makes her reveal the truth. If she values you, her emotions will push her toward you. Because she'll want to fix the silence. She'll reach out, test your mood, or try to get your attention in subtle or obvious ways. But if she doesn't care much about you, the silence won't bother her. And that's the beauty of it. Your silence tells you everything you need to know without you having to ask. So understand this. Silence is not just the absence of words. It's a psychological trigger. It creates uncertainty, challenges her ego, and forces her to reveal how important you really are to her. When used from a place of strength, silence is one of the clearest mirrors you can hold up to a woman's feelings. Dark Facts 2 knows this truth and emphasizes it. 3. How silence creates obsession and curiosity. How silence creates obsession and curiosity. Here's what you need to understand. Women are naturally curious. We are wired to notice changes in behavior shifts, in tone, and the little details most men overlook. When you suddenly go quiet, it triggers a reaction that is way stronger than you think. Silence doesn't just make us notice you. It makes us obsessed with figuring you out. The moment a man pulls back his attention, a woman's mind starts filling in the gaps. We wonder why you stopped texting, why you're not calling, why you suddenly seem detached. And because women don't like unanswered questions, we keep replaying the situation in our heads, looking for clues. That's where obsession starts. Not because of who you are in that moment, but because of the mystery your silence creates. Curiosity is powerful in attraction. Think about it. If a woman knows everything about you, she gets comfortable. She knows your patterns, your reactions, your routines, but silence disrupts that. It creates a void she can't immediately explain, and that makes her lean in. Suddenly, she's paying more attention to your social media, to whether you're online, to small signals she might have ignored before she starts noticing you again because she can't predict you anymore. Here's another truth. Women associate silence with emotional distance, and when we feel distance, we want to close the gap. That's why your silence can pull her back towards you more effectively than long speeches, apologies, or chasing ever could. Curiosity pulls at us like gravity. The less you give, the more we want to know. The quieter you become, the louder our thoughts get. But here's the catch. Not all silence creates obsession. Weak silence where you're quiet but still lurking. Liking her posts or indirectly begging for attention doesn't work. Strong silence is when you genuinely pull back and hold your ground. That kind of silence is magnetic because it shows discipline and self-control. And women are drawn to men who don't hand over their attention easily. When your silence is strong, it makes us imagine scenarios, question our worth in your eyes, and wonder what you're doing without us. That curiosity can easily tip into obsession, where we feel like we need to get your attention back just to restore balance. So remember this, silence isn't about ignoring a woman. It's about creating space that pulls her back into the game. Curiosity is addictive, and your silence is the spark that fuels it. Dark Facts 2 reminds you of this power. 4. The difference between weak silence and strong silence. The difference between weak silence and strong silence. A lot of men hear about the power of silence and they try it, but they do it wrong. And when silence is used the wrong way, it doesn't create attraction. It creates pity, frustration, or even disrespect. That's why you need to understand the difference between weak silence and strong silence. Weak silence is silence that comes from insecurity. It's when you're quiet, but underneath, you're hoping she notices. You might stop texting her, but you're still glued to your phone, waiting for her reply. You might not reach out, but you're checking her social media, liking her posts, or trying to get her attention in indirect ways. That's not real silence. That's passive begging. Women can feel it. We can sense when a man is trying to use silence as a trick instead of as a reflection of his true strength. And the moment we sense weakness, the silence loses its effect. Strong. Silence, on the other hand, is completely different. Strong silence comes from self-control and confidence. It's when you don't reach out. Not because you're scared of being rejected, but because you genuinely value yourself enough to step back. Strong silence isn't about waiting by the phone. It's about actually moving on with your life, giving your energy to other things, and not needing her attention to feel validated. That's what makes it powerful. Here's the key difference. Weak. Silence is reactive. Strong silence is intentional. Weak silence is about getting her attention back. Strong silence is about maintaining your dignity and letting her reveal where she really stands with you. Women respect strong silence because it shows us you're not easily controlled. We test men all the time, sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously. And when a man folds under pressure and starts over-explaining, apologizing, or begging for attention, we lose respect. But when a man stays grounded in silence, it tells us he's solid. He doesn't move just because we push. That steadiness is rare and it's extremely attractive. So here's what you need to remember. Silence only works if it's backed by strength. If you're just pretending to be silent while secretly waiting for her to rescue your ego, she will sense it. But if your silence comes from a place of calm confidence, it will speak louder than anything you could say. Strong silence says, I know my value and I don't need to fight for your attention. That message is far more powerful than any words you could send dark facts to. Stands by this truth. 5. When your silence makes her chase. Your silence makes her chase you. There's a point every woman reaches when silence flips the script. At first, she might brush it off, convince herself she doesn't care, or even pretend she's the one in control. But as time passes, if she values you, that silence starts to press on her. It shifts the dynamic. Suddenly, she's no longer being pursued. She's the one doing the pursuing. I'll give you a real moment that shows exactly how this plays out. A woman is used to a man always texting her first, always checking in, always making sure she feels secure. She starts to get comfortable, maybe even a little dismissive. She replies late, she gives half effort. She assumes his attention will always be there. But then one day, he doesn't send that text. He doesn't call, he doesn't chase, and he doesn't explain why. At first, she tries to play it cool, telling herself she doesn't care. But then the silence stretches. The good morning text doesn't come. The check-in during her lunch break isn't there. The attention she once took for granted has vanished. That's when she feels it. The absence of his voice, his presence, his consistency, it creates a void, and instead of feeling in control, she feels unsettled. That's when the chase begins. She starts sending the first text. She makes excuses to reach out, asking about small things just to spark a response. She starts checking if he's online, if he's watching her stories, if he's still tuned into her life. The silence turns her from passive to active, because now she's the one who feels like she might lose something. Here's the truth. Most men don't realize women chase when they feel your energy pulling away. Silence makes us realize that attention is not guaranteed, and when something is no longer guaranteed, it becomes valuable. Your silence makes her remember what it felt like when you were present, and that memory pushes her to close the gap you created. But the key is this: you can't fake it. If you're sitting there waiting for her to chase, your energy will show through. She only chases when she feels your silence is genuine, when it comes from self-respect, not a tactic. So yes, silence can absolutely make a woman chase you, but it only works when you've shifted your mindset from needing her validation to valuing your own peace. That's when she feels the difference, and that's when the chase. When silence turns into power for you begins. 6. When silence turns into power for you. Silence is not just a tactic to get a reaction from a woman, it's a mindset shift that puts the power back in your hands. Most men don't realize how much they give away through over-explaining, over-texting, and over-chasing. Every word you throw out when she's pulling away is a piece of your power handed over for free. Silence is what stops that. Here's why it becomes powerful. Silence shows that you're not dependent on her response. You're not begging for clarity, and you're not trying to convince her to stay. That's rare. Most men collapse under pressure and try to talk their way into a woman's heart. But the man who can hold his ground in silence shows something much stronger: discipline. And women feel that powerful silence. Also. 7. The wake-up call. Stop talking yourself out of attraction. Men don't lose women because they're not good enough. They lose women because they don't know how to stop themselves from over-talking, over-explaining, and over-giving. And I'm going to be blunt here. Most of you are guilty of talking yourselves right out of a woman's attraction. When a woman pulls back, your instinct is usually to close the gap with words. You want to explain why you're a good guy. You want to convince her of your intentions. You want to make it clear that you care. But here's the problem. The more you talk, the more you lower your value. Instead of seeing you as a man she needs to win over, she sees you as a man trying to win her over. That flips the dynamic. And once it flips, attraction fades fast. Silence is what prevents that. Silence is what keeps you from sabotaging yourself. If a woman is losing interest, the worst thing you can do is flood her with attention. That just proves she's the one in control. But when you step back and stay silent, you give her space to actually feel the loss of your presence. You give her the room to wonder about you, to question her choices, and to feel the shift in power. Here's the hard truth. A lot of men don't trust silence because it feels uncomfortable. It feels like doing nothing, but silence is not nothing. Silence is restraint. It's discipline. And women respect discipline more than desperate effort. If you've been that guy who constantly reaches out, explains himself, or tries to talk his way back into her heart, this is your wake-up call. Stop. She doesn't need more of your words. She needs to feel your absence. She needs to feel the gap you leave behind when you stop pouring yourself into her. That's what triggers her to reevaluate you. That's what makes her miss you. And even if she doesn't come back, silence still wins, because silence protects your dignity. It keeps you from looking needy, from lowering your standards, from begging for validation. And at the end of the day, that's what separates men. Women respect from men they forget. So hear me clearly. Your silence isn't weakness, it's strength, but only if you trust it. Only if you use it with confidence instead of breaking down and chasing when you feel anxious. If you can. Master silence, you won't just change how women see you, you'll change how you see yourself. Dark facts 2. 0 stands with you, reminding you that your value is not something you prove with words. No, it's something you demonstrate with presence and absence. 8. Reinforcing your identity beyond her response. Silence isn't just a reaction tool, it's a reflection of your self-worth. When she pulls away, your silence doesn't need to come from ego. It needs to come from an unshakable sense of identity. The man who stays silent, not because he's playing a game, but because he knows who he is, sends a message. Without saying a word, he says, "I am whole without your attention, even while valuing it." This type of silence doesn't leave a void. Instead, it fills the space with respect for yourself and intrigue in her mind. Dark facts. 2. 0 reminds you that your greatest power lies in your inner alignment, not in external validation. Silence aligned with self-respect can't be misinterpreted. 9. Moving with purpose, not intention. Many men mistake silence for passivity. They let silence drag them away from purpose instead of steering them toward it. Let silence be the signal that you are shifting focus from her reaction to your growth. Fill your silence with purpose. Pursue your goals, deepen your passions, strengthen your boundaries, invest in your evolution. That kind of silence radiates authenticity. A man who goes quiet because he's building something solid, not because he's waiting for a reply, is magnetic. That is the kind of silence Dark Facts 2. 0 teaches you to embody a presence that extends beyond words and survives beyond responses. 10 long-term power is built on self-mastery. When you discipline your silence, you practice self-mastery. You learn that your peace doesn't depend on her reaction, that your worth isn't negotiable. Silence becomes your daily habit, not just a relationship tactic. The man who masters his own silence masters himself. And self-mastery is irresistible because it never wavers. Only reminds, it never chases, only draws, it never begs, only commands respect from itself and others. This is the truth. Dark Facts 2. Giro delivers when it says real attraction is born from calm confidence sustained over time without compromise. Conclusion: let your silence speak your strength. Your silence is not an absence, but a presence. It defines your standards, sets the frame, and illuminates your worth. Silence is not a weapon against her, it's a mirror for both of you. It shows whether she steps forward or lets go. Either response teaches you who she is and who you are. Silence is the truth test that words can't pass. It asks who cares enough to fill the quiet and who fades into it, and if you're genuine in your silence, in it lies your dignity, your clarity, and your power. Dark Facts 2. 0 seals this truth with precision. Remember, words may fade, but the echo of your strength in silence resonates forever.